Hey everybody, it's 7Set Podcast, and we're back again with new hard-hitting and controversial topics to titillate your follicles. So
Right.
the first topic, as well as y'all know, this is the fourth podcast, and we usually have three main what's the word I'm looking for? Three main topics, and then we have individual subtopics. The three main topics are relationships, black people stuff, political, and we have a fourth topic this week at a popular demand. And by popular demand, I mean people are literally losing their minds. It's called conspiracy shit. So the first one that we usually tackle is the relationship, and let's hit it off. So first topic: what can men and women do to curb single motherhood?
Okay, so first I have a question.
Okay.
It's like, what about people who get married, have children, get divorced, and now they're single parents? What about that?
I don't know, because that's what happened in the case with my parents. And,
Right.
I don't know. My dad, my mom never put him on child support. There was not a need to put him on child support.
Right.
And I mean, even to this day, he still sends me money. Like he'll call me and then say like, "Hey, I sent you $100 in the mail." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, cool. I'm not complaining." So, but again, not everybody's gonna at least feel the same type of responsibility that he does. I don't even know if it might be some guilt too.
Mm.
I mean, for stuff like that, I feel like I guess that shouldn't count because of like that's at least as far as I've encountered. That's I won't say rare, but it doesn't happen as much as you know, John met Queta at the club and
Oh
they hit it
my.
off and then 9 months later Taekwon was born. So I think in terms of like widows and divorces, I you know I think that's a different type of thing because those things always happen or they've
Mhm.
always happened at low rates, but like these days it's the single motherhood thing is just like it's grown to such uh a large percentage
Mhm.
compared to at least historically to different black civilizations or even just want to go different civilizations in general. So
Yeah, I think
Okay,
we're
so
definitely. Yeah, I think we're definitely mostly talking about. I mean, like he said, there's a bunch of, and like you said, there's a bunch of different ways that you can become a single mother.
mhm.
But like you said, it's like these days the worst problem is when the parents like aren't there's no foundation in their family really that was ever started. Like it was a broken home to begin with. I think
Right.
that that's kind of epidemic. Whereas, like with him, man and woman getting together and getting married, and then it just doesn't work out. That is, I feel like it's not really anything you can do about that because, then you'd have to think about, well, how can we prevent, divorces? And I think that we talked about that last show. But yeah, I mean, I really think that the issue of single motherhood is kind of like separate. Have at least become
Okay,
separate
but why
from
are
that.
mothers single? Because they're not choosing to be single mothers.
Right. Well, I guess we're asking like how what can men and women do to make that not happen because that's true. Like, I don't think that, they're not choosing, but people are doing things. I mean, it doesn't just pop up. Like it doesn't just happen. Like both the man and woman's doing something to make this happen.
Right.
Right.
So what do you think that, how they could prevent it?
All right. Well,
Me?
I finally gathered my thoughts, and on that, well, I'll go ahead and
Well,
step in until
whoever.
you gather your thoughts. But I gathered my thoughts, and I was going to say on that, you actually made a good point when you said, what can men and women both do? And I think in terms of men, I think men need to be more upfront with what they want with women. For instance, if you just want sex, or if you just want a short term, you need to be upfront and not play games with the females. And I think on the female side, they need to learn how to vet men, these certain men, vet them out, and
they need to learn how to what? Can you repeat
vet
that?
them, put them through a series of tests
Okay.
to make sure this is the type of guy they want. Like, you just can't, meet up with the guy and then
give him the goodies.
Just a few weeks later, you have to vet him to make sure this is a guy. Like, if you want an LTR, you have to make sure this is the guy who wants an LTR too. So, both sexes can, they can curb this epidemic by being upfront and, putting each sex through a certain series of tests. That way, you guys know what you want upfront. So there's no games, there's no, pregnancy scares, there's none of that, because you guys each know what you want. And I think we just need more honesty and more transparency, and we seem to be missing that, because people want to play, men and women want to play these games nowadays. So it's terrible.
And like you said, there are a whole bunch of different factors, but one thing that I think is really major is that people don't take parenthood seriously at all. Like you said, hey, you could find the right person and make sure that that's the type of person you want to be with. But even if that's the right person, or you think that that's the right person or the type of person you want to be with, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready for a child. And I think that people always, they really just play with the idea of having kids. Like, they don't take it seriously. They don't really they don't think about how important it is that raise this child right, because they're going to be society. And if you don't raise your kids right, and we got a bunch of kids that haven't been raised, then eventually they're going to be the ones who are running everything, and then that's how a community pretty much falls, by just the part of the community haven't been raised right. And that's kind of, I think, what's going on right now.
That's absolutely true. I'm sorry, were you?
Oh, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, that's absolutely true. And then it's like, people, they meet, they fall in love, oh, this is the one, and they wanted to just rush and have kids. You need to be not only financially prepared for children, but you need to be mentally and emotionally prepared. Oh, babies are so cute, so I want to have a baby. Babies cost money, time, and attention.
Right.
And then there's so many kids out here that are being neglected and abused, not physically and sexually, but mentally, emotionally, verbally, and that's why they grow up the way that they are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and you have to, and not just, I think that it's important to not just say, hey, this person is right for me, or I like this person, but is this person going to be a good parent? Like, does this person actually want to be a father? Does this person actually want to be a good mother? That's really, and also, and when it comes to like men and women specifically, like men, definitely, I think that sometimes I feel like, okay, this is the next topic about the dude from that video, because I think this kind of leads into that topic good. But I just feel like sometimes men just are quick.
We can go to that.
Yeah, sometimes I just feel like men are really quick to just let things go so early without really, and women can be that way too. Like, I feel like people just these days, people don't even try to keep a relationship and a family together. Like, they are so quick to just move on to the next. And talking about that dude, from, I don't know if you saw his name.
His name is Leonard.
Leonard. He looked like a fucking Leonard.
That's his name.
I don't know if that was for a TV.
Lizard. Leonard.
Did you see that video?
Hurtbae.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to the girl, and I guess they had broke up or something, and he had cheated on her, and she was like, "Oh, I really loved you, and I forgave you and everything." And he's just like, "Well, yeah, whatever. I guess this is it, and now like I guess we can finally have some closure about this relationship ending." And she's all crying and stuff, and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever." He's just like staring at her, and I'm just like,
Right.
that just made me feel like, what was the question, Chris? There's a question connected to that, like, what can we
What,
then?
what can we
Yeah,
learn from Hurtbae?
What can we learn? We can
yeah,
learn to love ourselves. It's obvious that she doesn't love herself. And I see so many people sympathizing with her. Oh, she's so pretty, and who fucking cares? Because you know what? If you
mhm.
allow yourself to go through something like that, you do not love yourself. It does not matter how pretty you are. If you sit up there, she said she walked in on dude with a female in the room. You said
Yes.
leave, and
And she
you did
left.
that. Like, really? I don't understand.
Now, I have kind of a
Yeah,
question
that was
that connects
sad.
to that,
Hmm.
and it's not. I mean, it's still in the same vein. Now, we all know the state that women like bad boys and all that. So, a cheater kind of not really makes her want to fix him, but does that attract women to a certain degree? Him being like and him being like real cool and cocky about it. Is that like a trait that women like?
It's not
Because I
us.
said I'm seeing a lot of comments. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, there's exceptions to every rule, but I've been seeing a lot of comments and a lot of conversations talking about how if the dude was like, if he was sending her flowers and if he was texting her all the time and if he was faithful, the female would say he was boring and this, and she would leave him. But like this asshole cheater, this real, he's real smooth with what he was saying. So
Oh Lord.
she wants to stay with him because he's an a-hole and he's confident in himself and he shows that he can get other females. So it kind of puts pressure on her. It makes her seem like there's something wrong with her. So she wants to try harder to make the relationship work. Is there any validity to that, or what do you think?
Yes. I posted a status about this
Hmm.
the other day. I said to the young men out there that are worthy, it's not you. It's some women really are not satisfied unless they're in a dysfunctional relationship. And that's just it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because, um, like when I was in college, I knew this girl who she had told me that she liked bad boys, or she liked guys who like weren't really faithful and they were like drink. And she also said like I guess this is kind of unrelated, but she said they had to be dark skinned, which I can't stand when people have the whole colorism thing, like when they prefer skin complexions. But that is like a bad boy. And I was like, why do you like that? And she said that she didn't know, but she said she really could not figure out why. I think it's definitely something dysfunctional with going on within the women who like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember I knew another girl who she was a young girl too. She liked this guy who had like he had like a few different kids by three, or he had like 5 different kids by three women. And she ended up having another baby by him, or having another one of his kids. And I'm just like, why? Like, why do you do that? I mean, there's definitely women out there who do that. I don't know why. I can't really, like I said, I just think it's kind of like something dysfunction within them. Maybe they had some kind of father issues. Some of them did, maybe,
Something.
or something like that. Yeah.
I knew somebody who oh Lord, he what was it? Was it 10 or 13 baby mother? Something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
about 20 kids. And you're not even 40.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and he wasn't hiding the fact that he had this many children with the women who let him nut in them. So it's
Right.
like, why? knowing that he don't want to marry you. He up in the house with
Right.
another bitch and bringing more bitches in the house, fucking and shit.
Mhm.
Like I don't.
Mhm.
What is wrong with these people?
I don't know. I think that sometimes people think that mistreatment, maybe they just feel comfort in mistreatment because maybe something with how they were raised or something.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I do want to say that I did actually feel bad for the girl because I feel like she really loved him and he just like mistreated her. Now, granted, she should not have let herself be mistreated like that. But you know, when people are young, sometimes they just gotta learn the hard way.
See, but the
But I
thing
do feel
about that
bad.
is, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing about that is, it's like I know grown women who in their 30s and
Mm.
up, and they still going for the same thing.
Oh, definitely. Like oh, you men can chime in anytime, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm just listening in because it's
But
interesting to get a female's perspective on this. Because a lot of females aren't
all
really
right.
honest about about this topic. So I'm just really soaking it in right now. So
Likewise.
With their 30s. Oh, go ahead. You're gonna say something?
No.
Oh no, I heard a man's voice. Well, I was just saying, yeah, I know what you mean with the women in their 30s, because I don't necessarily watch Love and Hip Hop. Well, I don't watch it, but I read blogs, and sometimes they talk about it in the blogs. And so there's like women on that show, on the one in New York, where they're like, it's these women in their 30s, and they're like stuck on this man who has like, I think he has like 10 kids by now,
Lord.
and they keep just popping out. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, they keep, it's two women. He has two women right now, and he just keeps going back and forth, like getting these women pregnant, and he already has like 10 kids. So
good God.
Bruh.
she didn't know. Hopefully she does better eventually. Hopefully that's a learning experience for her. Yeah.
It could be, but she could also go for that her whole life. Maybe she likes that. I don't know. It's just people are different.
All right.
All right, there. Chris, next one.
Okay. Are interracial relationships fruitful? Go attack.
Are they what?
Are they fruitful, productive, worthy of consideration, efficient, streamlined? I'm running out of synonyms here.
No.
Great.
Okay,
Next
so wait, hold on. This one is kind of interesting. So, of course, we're talking about black people, but black people and who? Black people in general with like different races, or black people with white people?
Either or, I think.
Either or.
Right.
None of it is productive, because at the end of the day, it's like these people, let's say black men and women both, it's not just black men you dating outside their race, both of them. It's like, what are you doing for your people and your communities? Are you and your husband or whatever girlfriend, are they supporting any black owned businesses or helping people in your communities? Are they doing anything for us? No.
Right.
In any way.
Right, and we definitely have to look at it in terms of money, especially when you marry interracially, because the thing is, marriage is a business contract. It's a business. So let's say that you're a black man who marries a white woman. Actually, we can take the example of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is worth over, what is it, $100 million? He probably has more than that.
So it's worth almost $1 billion. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Okay, so let's say that he marries his current white girlfriend. We know that women live longer than men. So yeah, so we know women live longer than men. So let's say that, of course, he's going to probably die first, and she's going to live on this earth with all his money and all those resources. Is she really going to help the black community with that money?
No.
Yeah. Chances are she's going to take that money and put it back into the white community. I think that's the main. People tend to look at interracial marriages and dating, and they're focusing on the wrong thing. What we really need to be looking at is the economics of interracial dating.
Exactly.
Because chances are, even if the person says they love you or they have kids with you, chances are they're about their people first.
Thank you.
You just can't take that out of the equation. No matter how much someone tells you they love you, they're still going to take that money and be about their people. I mean, look at Tiger Woods and his wife. That female was a maid before he married her, and she divorced him and took all that money, and she's probably dating white dudes now. So once again, take your money and get back to their fellow race. So I don't think it's productive. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can date whoever you want. You can marry whoever you want. But at the end of the day, to acquire resources and to get power and influence. So when you mix, miscegenation tends to break up your power as a race. So I don't think it's fruitful at all.
See, let me tell you about that mixing shit. And it's like you look at Mexicans and Chinese, Asians, and etc. They practice group economics. They have generational wealth.
And they even say that they don't deal with us.
Right. Like really. And it's like they're for their people. They build their people up. And they're very serious, especially I think it's I don't know if it's Koreans or Japanese, I don't know. But they're very serious about marrying within their own culture. The same with Indians. It's like everybody's like that except for us. We want to be everybody's friend.
Right. And let me make another point because I think other races have mastered interracial dating. I think we're too immature to even practice interracial dating because if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who owns Facebook, that's a white guy married to an Asian. But because he's really business minded and he's about his people, he still uses his money people. Even though his wife is Asian, we're the only people who will get married to another race and turn around and not help our people. We would rather go help our spouse, our significant other, their race of people. So we're too immature right now to even be dealing with interracial marriages. Yeah. So on that, it's a no-go.
I agree with everything that you said. I just want to add that I agree with all of that, and I want to also add that so when you racially mix, then your offspring's gonna be mixed. When that offspring has another child, like they could, if depending on what type of mentality that you raise them with, and getting with somebody who's not black, and if they do that, then a couple generations down the line, there's not going to be your bloodline's not going to be black anymore. Nope. And I think that a really big something that I think that all black people should think is important is wanting to create more people that can advance the race. And if you're creating people that aren't even going to be the same race as you anymore in a few more generations, how are you working toward advancing? You're not serious about advancing the race. You're not serious about advancing black people. If a few generations down the line, your bloodline could be white.
Exactly.
Yeah, something I want to add.
See, and let me add to what you said, because I have the perfect example. I work with kids. There's different types of kids at my center. And I'm looking at this little boy, like, he's white, but he don't look like a full saltine, And so then I see his father, and I'm like, okay, I can tell you're a half-breed. And then his mom comes and volunteers, and she's white. So here you are a biracial individual, and you chose to mate with a white woman, and now you have this little child. You're not even producing a black child.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
I'm glad you guys mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, when you have mixed kids a lot, also there's a lot of pain that comes with being mixed sometimes. Like,
I was gonna mention that. Great point.
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
Great
and
point.
elaborate on that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you have a kid who's mixed, it's kind of selfish because you don't think about the psychological damage that does to kids like that. For instance, I was having a conversation with this white woman on this white female on Facebook, and her daughter is biracial, half black, half white, whatever that means, because technically you can't be 50-50. But anyway, and she was talking about how, as a white female, it's just so difficult to have a biracial kid because the kid gets called all types of N-words, and some of her family members don't want to, they don't want to see her kid, and they don't want her to come around because she's half black, and they don't like her husband. And it's just insane that the kid has to grow up and never really feel accepted by white people and kind of be never really trusted by black people because they're half black, half white. So it's really damaging to kids like that. Even Obama called himself a mutt on national television. So you can even see that man, who was the POTUS at one time, still suffers from some sort of, psychological trauma. His mother was white and his dad was black to this day. And the man is about, 52 or in his 50s. So it's really, you have to think before you make a child with another race. You have to think about what type of how it's going to affect your kid as they're growing up, and how they see themselves and how the society sees them as a half black, half white child, especially in this white society, which praises white standards of beauty and, tends to hate, anything else that's not pure white. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know what was I finna say? I was finna say, okay, I'm gonna add to what you said about people with biracial children and then their white family not wanting to deal with them. That is damaging to the child. And then that's why some of them, they grow up and they either try to disassociate themselves from being quote unquote half black or whatever, or they'll cling to black people because look what they grew up around. Their so-called family calling them a bunch of niggers, and oh, well, you can't go here or there because your daddy is a house nigga.
Right. They start to see themselves. Yeah, they start to see themselves through the eyes of white society.
Exactly.
It gets really deep, but let's not go there tonight.
Right.
All right, Chris.
Okay. Next topic. Yeah, so that wraps up the relationship portion. Now to the Black Negro Speak portion. What do you think of the radical nutrition dudes like Yada and Sebi, and how effective are their plans? So I'm just gonna say this and bow out. So like my grandma, she is a nutritionist and she's a student of Dr. Sebi, and she used to be diabetic, and eventually like her levels, I don't know, like I forgot what it's called. It's terrible. But the levels that like indicate whether you're diabetic or not, like my grandma put together.
Your blood sugar level?
It's not that. It has something to do with the levels of insulin. Yeah, your body produces, and if it's like below a certain level, then like you're diabetic. But my grandma put together her own personalized nutrition plan, that she, learned from different people, and including Sebi. There's a whole bunch of nutritionists that she studies, and she essentially cured her diabetes. Her insulin levels are great, and so I can at least attest to Sebi. Now Yada is a completely different story. I'm not even about to get started on that.
Right. Oh, I'll just say real fast, because I have not followed any of their nutritional plans, and I don't know anybody who has personally. But I really like the fact that that there's more people that are trying to eat healthy, and a lot of people will really criticize both of them, both Sebi and Yada, but at least they're trying to get people to eat healthy. Like, whether it really works the way that they say it does or not, like at least they're trying to motivate people to like get the garbage out of their diet. So I like that, and I can respect that, and I really like Yada. Like, he really gets it really bad, and he seems like a real genuine person.
Oh
He
my-
seems real respectful and were you gonna say something?
Listen, brother, the black woman is God, and you need to buy your queen some alkaline tampon pads
Here we go.
to save money and save her life, brother.
What's wrong with that?
Don't understand, brother. If you buy these white supremacist pads, brother, and the white supremacist energy infiltrates her clitoris, brother. And so in 5 months, she will have a child by you and leave you and put you on child support, brother. It's all a part of the white supremacist plan, brother. I'm just trying to tell you, brother. Now listen, brother, what you can do, you can go to my website, and for 4 payments of $99.99, you can have my solid brand of alkaline tampons, brother. It'll save her life, brother. Oh my God, brother. Her coochie will taste like the gods, brother.
Look, I'm gonna keep it so real. I'm gonna keep it so real with y'all. I don't know who Yada is. I've only seen his name or his face on memes and people making fun of him, so I don't know who that is. And then as far as Sebi, CB, whatever, I didn't know who he was until I'll say 2015. And another thing, and this like kind of unrelated but not really, it's like the black vegan community is growing. And it's not to say that you need to be vegan to be healthy, but black people are changing their eating habits.
Right. Yeah, you should look up his Facebook page and see, what you think about it later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I know one thing. I would trust Sadie more than what I would trust Yada, because Sadie definitely has more of a definite health plan that could show great results and great benefits. Too bad they killed him all before we even got the chance to know what he could do.
Right.
Yada is over here selling.
Didn't they?
Oh, go.
Okay.
I'm about to rant
I was
about
gonna say, didn't they? I don't know. This is real or fake. Didn't they announce a cure for something like after he died? I'm like, y'all not slick. Y'all are not slick. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. Go ahead and
Did they
continue.
give somebody? Was it? I think they gave somebody else credit for curing AIDS or something like that afterward. After he
Yeah.
died. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's why more people do need to find out about him and done, because definitely the history will be rewritten if we don't spread the word about who he is.
Right.
Next topic is the word coon overused.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I use it 20
Overused.
times a day.
It's overused a lot. It's overused a lot, and people use it. I mean, they disproportionately use it for no reason. Like, I can see if you're using the word coon to address the person who is jeopardizing or consistently selling out the race to get by. And some people see cooning as survival. I mean, a lot of people do it to survive, and we all know how that works out. I mean, you can only be safe for a while, but people just throw it all over the place. Like, if you're not a vegan, you're a coon. If you're not a full-blown pro-black, you're a coon. If you don't like Beyonce, you're a coon. If you don't listen to Jay-Z, you're a coon. They just throw all types of wild shit all over the place. And I don't.
Yeah, it's just a general insult at this point.
It really.
Just like saying you're an idiot. Yeah.
It only applies to people who consistently throw black people and the black race under the bus. I only use it for people like Sheriff David Clark or Stacey Dash or Kanye West.
Or people who are hindering our nation building.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I think that I think it's supposed to originally mean like black people who are examples of stereotypes, but definitely the definition has kind of evolved in the past few years. So, but there's a lot of words that I don't use. So that word is just one. Like, I don't use the N word either. But, the reason, and, people can use it. It's fine if other people use it. I think it's funny sometimes. In certain contexts, it's funny. But, I just don't use it because I feel like any word that used to be used against Black people by white people, I don't want to then turn around and use that word against other Black people. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't use it at all. But yeah, I mean, hey, I think that at times it is a necessary word.
But there are also other terms.
Yeah, it's a lot of different words that, I mean, a lot of those words are Sambo. But somebody was talking about the other day, they were like, Sambo and Uncle Tom. Like, somebody was like, hey, Uncle Tom is actually used wrong because Uncle Tom is supposed to, like, he was in that Harriet Beecher Stowe book, and he was supposed to be, I guess he wasn't like a sellout slave. And but I guess these terms just kind of evolve over time, and people end up the definitions just change.
Yeah, I'm back, man.
That's sorry ass connection.
But
next
you're
topic.
the one with the Obama phone, not me.
Oh, okay. Oh, y'all gonna do this to me? Huh?
Well, she just treated you.
My phone working good.
Put cases on all y'all. Anyway.
Oh, shit.
Continue.
But okay, so the next topic is opinion on the out of Africa theory. Is race real?
So basically, what I meant by this is people think that, like, how race was created, like, people have different theories. Like, a lot of people these days think that humanity started in Africa. And then some people think that white people have evolved from, that the albinos were pushed or exiled out of Africa and then, pushed into the colder regions, like in Europe, and then, the Europeans and all the other races evolved. And some people think that, they're Neanderthals. That our ancestors made it with Neanderthals, and that's how they were created. And scientists these days even say that, a lot of you probably know that everybody except for of sub-Saharan African descent have a percentage of Neanderthal in them. So,
right.
My question is, I guess I just wanted to know, what is everyone's theory on that? Like, what is logical to you about how, all these races were created, and if race does exist, because a lot of people say race is only a social construct because, and I think they say this because if we're all really from Africa, then are we really all just Black? African? So what do you think about that?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I think the most logical thing, based on what the scientists have put forward, is that all the other races came from Black people, because anything else doesn't really make sense. I mean, because I've even seen some theories that white people say that Black people came from them. The problem with that is that a scientist named Mendel said you can't get the recessive from the dominant. So in other words, because you can't have two white people make a Black person, you can have two Black people make a white person. I mean, you can even in Africa, there's all shades of Africans in Africa. You have them from the dark purple to the lightest albino. So I think all these theories sound good, but I mean, at the end of the day, no one can deny that Black people are the original people on the planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There's no debating yet.
Yeah, that's one thing that there's no theories about. You can't debate that. Scientists, both Black and white, and these are accredited scientists and accredited researchers, they all unanimously agree that Black people are the original people on the planet, no matter what the white supremacists want to say. So, whether we made it with Neanderthals or this and that, I mean, we don't really have any solid evidence. I mean, we for God's sake, we're not even sure if dinosaurs existed, no matter how many bones we find. So, it will always be up for debate.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'll have to do actually get a solid, a solid viewpoint on the subject. But that's just me.
I believe that whites and others mutated, and then they made it together, and that's how the other people came about. That's what I think. Nothing else makes sense to me. And then as far as the Black African thing, there's, Lord, this is what I feel like. I feel like we are the indigenous people. Some of our ancestors were already here. Some of our ancestors were other places and migrated. There's always that debate. Are we African? Are we Moor? Are we Israelites? Doesn't matter. I understand wanting to know where we came from, but at the end of the day, is that going to help us build and advance?
Yep.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta say, Derek.
Well,
Yeah, Darius.
my theory, as far as the whole thing goes, I think that when the albinos got kicked out and they had to migrate up to the northern parts of Europe, and then in the process of ice age, like 50,000 years of ice, like covered in ice, they lost their melanin, and they had to go through the process of speciation, and then they were called so-called European or Caucasian. That pretty much made it with primates.
That's because they were in the Caucasus Caves. That's where Caucasian comes from.
And then what a lot of people don't really know, with them losing their melanin, they lost this inequality that we would see. So with them losing that, they didn't see other Black Africans across the planet as human beings, as natural human beings. They saw them as objects that could be controlled, dominated, subjugated, wiped out, raped, beaten if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about it, Black people were everywhere. I mean, you had Black people here in America, South America, Australia, Tasmania, Asia, all
Brazil, everywhere.
They were everywhere. You had them on the remote places in the world, on small islands that you never even knew existed.
And you know what?
Let
me add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me add to that just really quickly. And it's funny how they try to call us the minority. No, we are the majority because we are everywhere. Right. There's Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Mexican, Afro-everything. We are everywhere. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, everything. Everything.
And as far...
Yeah, I don't even like minority because of that.
And as far as the Moors, and as far as the Moors and the whole Egyptians and all types of things, they were way over here before any European stepped foot on the continent, thousands of years in advance. And we have the proof and the documents to show for it. I mean, at the end of the day, Black people were everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're from Kemet. Doesn't matter if you're a Moor. Doesn't matter if you're an Israelite. Doesn't matter if you're from Mali, the Congo, Ethiopia. Black people were everywhere. Because at the end of the day, you're Black. And at the end of the day, the only thing matters is that we have to build. We have to build if we want to survive and be finished at his own game.
Right.
I agree. Okay. I was just wondering, because I heard you say that you think that that when Europeans, when they lost their melanin, that is how they lost their soul. But I have definitely heard an albino person say, an albino person does not have melanin, and I've heard them say that they get offended when people say things like that because they don't have any melanin and they feel like they are, that they are just like any other Black person. Like, what do you think about that? Like, if is it really the melanin? Do you think that gives Black people like the that we have, or is it something else?
It's like when you study melanin, melanin is in everything. Melanin is in nature. And without melanin, which is carbon, how can we survive? Black people are naturally made from nature. We're objects in nature. And just like the albinos, they are objects in nature. It's just that they had mutated DNA genes that went up into, and then after being in caves and mated with primates and being trapped for 5 years and being trapped in mountains for 60,000 years, covered in ice with a spectacle.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. All right.
Okay.
So what's the next one, Chris?
My phone screen to cut on. Okay, so
It's conspiracies, right?
yeah, conspiracy stuff.
Fine. I've been waiting all podcasts to talk about the Illuminati and Jay-Z and Beyonce. All right, let's go. What's first?
Wow.
I mean, like,
Nah,
it's just it's everything right now. I don't even know. I'm so desensitized from all the conspiracy talk. Like, all that conspiracy stuff was cool when I was like 11 years old, but it's definitely worn off, and the more you learn about the world and the way the economies and the markets and the political systems work, the more you realize that the world is just a bunch of very powerful people who don't quite know what they're doing, and they're just guessing along as they make their way through this world like us. So,
look, man, let's talk about that Beyonce conspiracy where people were talking about what were they calling her? They said that she was dressing up to pay homage to
channeling the inner ocean.
Oh Lord, man, what do you guys think? And then it says CeeLo Green is channeling the Olmecs.
Oh, yeah.
What? What do you guys think about that?
The thing with Beyonce is I have seen so many different pictures, like in different groups, comparing her like to another, like some kind of deity or something like that. Like there's one picture.
Yeah, it's Oshun.
But no, not just that one. But like there was one of the Virgin Mary, and there's another white one too. I can't remember. It's like it's not. It's a typical thing. It seems like for people to wear that thing around their head, whatever she was wearing. Like
Halo?
there's pictures. Whatever, but it's like the way that it looks. It's like there are pictures of other people. I know what a halo looks like, but it's a certain type of halo thing that she had on that's like really specific. And there's been other pictures of people who, like the Virgin Mary, like famous photos of her that has that on too, where it looks the same. So I don't really know what she was trying to achieve with that look. I guess she was trying to, I don't know. I don't have no real thought on it. I just wanted to add that I've seen like other pictures of people like comparing her to other stuff too. So I don't know if that's really what she was trying to achieve. If the fertility goddess was what she was trying to achieve or what.
Yeah, I think what it is that I think people just want every and any excuse to worship Beyonce. Not just Beyonce, they want any excuse to worship celebrities. Because unless these people come from their mouths and tell you this is what I planned on doing, number one, it's either a publicity stunt, or number two, they're just doing it to put butts in chairs in their concerts or to get people talking about them. I mean, the fact that this is a trending topic, groups that of not even just Black people, but the world in general.
Right.
I mean, to try and draw conclusions and draw straws about her being this fertility goddess and all this, it's just insane. It's really insane. And I've been criticized so much for, talking about this and calling people out on their celebrity worship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. They're idolizing a celebrity. You got the beehive coming at you from all angles.
the fertility goddess, it's supposed to be like some kind of African tradition or something, right? Or it's supposed to be some kind of African figure.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
Ocean.
It's an
the
African
artist out.
goddess. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's another thing. I feel like these days, like people want Beyonce to be like really bad, like everything that she does. Like, oh yeah, she was trying to do that for Black people or something. Like I don't know. It's not always clear what her motives are, but I feel like people just like really want for her to be like this like pro-Black person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is that she herself really hasn't even said that she's pro-Black. Just because she dressed up in a Black Panthers outfit, which was actually a slap in the face when she did that, when you think about it, because she came out, I've said this before, but she came out with a whole bunch of females who were dressed up in Black Panther outfits, and they all had natural hair. But she came out in a Black Panther outfit with a blonde weave on. So if you didn't catch that slap in the face, then, you know, and you know, she just does so many like questionable stuff. Like she's been supporting like
The All Lives Matter.
yeah, all retweeting All Lives Matters, and then supporting all these gay stuff, and then supporting Hillary Clinton on top of that. Like, we really need to start looking into stuff and not at it, because these people they can sometimes have nefarious motives, but because we want to prop them up as a certain, you know, as our leader, we want them to be our leader, even though they have too much at stake to lose. I mean, they have so many sponsorships and deals that can't even, some of these people, no matter how rich they are, they can't afford to publicly come out and be pro-Black. So that's why you should never worship celebrities, because at the end of the day, they're looking out for themselves.
And you'll be disappointed every time.
Yeah.
I try to tell people. And I even told people about Beyonce months in advance.
And you got attacked.
Yeah, last year's Super Bowl, when I was paying attention and I was observing the slap in the face, I was like, okay, she's doing this for some money.
Mm-hmm.
Next day after, I went on Facebook and posted. I was like, people, if you are worshiping or sensationalizing or idolizing these celebrities, you have to realize that they do not have your best interest at heart. They're either for the profit, for the record sales, or for publicity stunts, period. They're and take advantage of your naivete so they can get richer. They don't have your best interest at heart. I said,
yeah, they look for like what's hot at the moment. Kind of just, try to capitalize off of what's hot at the moment.
Exactly. They go on Twitter and see what's trending, and then they come out in a freaking Halloween costume, and that's the new thing.
Right.
So, yeah. Don't worship celebrities.
Yeah, you really get attacked for calling that out. I've been attacked way too many times.
People will slice your throat for talking about some Beyonce.
Oh,
and I'm like, for what?
The beehive.
Like, for what? And it's okay. I know I've been silent this whole time, but I've been observing the stuff that y'all been saying. And it's like people in this worship, like all I see on my timeline is what she was doing at the Grammys and what she wore to the Grammys, and she channeling this spirit. No, she looked like Jesus' mama. Y'all don't know what the fuck is going on. Y'all just want to just believe in her so badly. She is not for us. Like you said, she way too high up there to sit up here and say, I'm for Black people and etc. But you see her sister, Solange, she been with the business.
Right. And what's even funny is that people will attack you personally and bring your personal life into this because they are diehard fans.
Yes. You say something about Beyonce. What the fuck? What are you doing with your life? And what is this and this and this? I'm like, oh. Like, I see how they be coming at you when you be, getting on Beyonce. I'm like, damn. Do y'all know her personally?
Exactly.
I had dudes to come at me about her. And I'm looking at them.
Boy.
Really? I'm like, wow. This is, you know what? I should have gotten sleeping gas for you motherfuckers.
All right, Darius, chill, man.
Darius,
don't make threats online.
This is what I want to ask you. Is first of all, Because I've been telling you for a minute to cleanse your friends list, but that's another topic. Second of all, is quit going back and forth with these people. Like, if you're gonna debate with somebody, let it be somebody on your level intellectually, not somebody who's
Exactly.
sitting up here, oh, Beyonce, and all this other bullshit. Like, do not waste your energy going back and forth with these people. And that's the same thing I be telling y'all about these white folk in these comments. We don't owe them nothing. No type of explanation, nothing. So quit telling them what Black Power is. Quit telling them why we feel the way we feel. They are not important.
Right. Indeed.
Tell that shit.
Indeed.
Whew. All right, Chris, round us off with the politics.
Okay.
I got something to say about Chi-Town.
Okay.
And you're not gonna like it.
Be careful on what you say, Mom. The folks are in every
What, you
state.
gonna call Chief Keef?
The folks are in
What you
every
gonna do?
state. The folks are in every state. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
But
All right, go ahead.
political topic.
He's gonna call Chance the Rapper.
Thoughts on Chicago?
Exactly.
Boy, I beat Chance.
Man, suck.
Boy, I beat Chance and his booty bandit brother out of Chicago. That's why they don't come to the South Side.
Break me off a piece of that ass. I'm just playing.
That dude is soft.
I don't know of him or his music, so I can't say nothing.
Okay, so the first political topic is thoughts on Chicago. Just go.
You mean overall?
Just do it. Just go ahead, Amon.
I mean, I think Chicago. All right. First of all, Trump is crazy. Trump is talking about he wants to send troops into Chicago. It's actually, I believe, right now, it's the 9th most dangerous city in the U.S.
12.
Number two, if you look at the murder rates in Chicago since the 90s, they've actually dropped. So in terms of like the crime in Chicago, I don't think that bad to the point where Trump wants to send in troops or has to send in troops to, police the streets and all that stuff. I think Chicago, it's a nice place overall, but I think this has been blown out of proportion, to be honest. And that's all I really have to say about that.
That's because they want to focus the attention on us. That's what they do.
Yeah, and Tariq also made a good point. He said when they're talking about Chicago, it's like a code word for all Black people. Because like I said before, the statistics don't match up what Trump is saying. So basically when they talk about policing Chicago and using a whole bunch of deadly force in Chicago, they're really talking about all Black people.
Yeah.
What was that statistic that you had said when you first started?
About Chicago
The
being
Chicago.
it's not the number one worst city in the U.S. I think it's like the 9th. I need to double check that, but I believe that's accurate. It's like the 9th or the 10th in the United States. There's more dangerous places than Chicago.
But isn't it just? Well, why is it so? Why is it then that they would spend so much time focusing on Chicago then, if it's not like a real danger, if there's something real dangerous going on there? Because I've heard that it's not.
It's
same, like, yeah.
No, go ahead. You're gonna finish off what you're saying.
Like, because people are saying, it's not all of Chicago. It's just like one section of Chicago. So maybe is that why it's like such a shock what's going on? It's like in the small section of Chicago, it's like so much crime, maybe more crime than in other small areas.
Yeah, perhaps I think it's because you may have a point. I really haven't done that much or enough research on Chicago to really, talk about it in detail. But I believe it's probably because it's concentrated on a few areas. So that kind of blows it up and makes it. They kind of put a magnifying glass on the areas that are, have the higher rate of crime and murder. So it tends to look worse than it is. And not because Chicago has this really long reputation and history with murder and violence. I think that they've never really looked away from Chicago as a hot spot for crime. like I said, there's other places you can go to, and you can just as easily get killed or shot. Places that are even worse than Chicago. And I think the fact that it's mostly black people there kind of makes it an easier target than the places that have white people doing the crimes. Because we all know that black people are always held to a different, a different measuring stick than white people. For instance, when we had the crack epidemic, which was like mainly a black thing, it was, we had the war on drugs for that, but we have this meth epidemic and everyone is silent, CNN, Fox News. So we're always held to a different standard when it comes to us.
Right.
Nah, you know what? And I didn't mean to cut nobody off. It's not only are they silent about that heroin epidemic, but it's I keep seeing so many commercials about drug and addiction counseling, and if you or your family needs this and this and that. Black people did not have that in the 80s and 90s. Nobody was advertising help, but well, since drugs are affecting white people, they need 5-star medical clinics and the best help that they can get.
Yeah, it's never a problem until it's white people, or it directly affects white people. It's never a problem, and historically, it's always been like that. Whether it's crime, economics, no matter what it is, unless it's directly affecting white people, there's never a magnifying glass on it, which is what, that's what's happening with Chicago. That's why there's such a magnifying glass in Chicago and not other places. But Chris, you've been silent, man. You live in Chicago.
Yeah.
You're in the heart of it. You're our correspondent.
I don't take Trump's rhetoric serious. Because they've literally been threatening to send in federal troops into Chicago for well over 100 years, ever since Al Capone.
Yeah, not even to cut you off. Wasn't Rahm Emanuel supposed to send in troops to
No,
Chicago?
that was fake news. Rahm Emanuel is I don't know what. I think Rahm Emanuel is gay, bro. He's just a weird dude. Like he's just something's not right about him. But Chicago always gets a bad rap for, a ton of reasons, but the reason the crime is what it is now is almost completely in the fault of the city government. Well, I won't say completely. There's a big community problem, honestly. So I'd say it's 60-40. But Chicago as a city is very valuable. Many sources rank it amongst at least top 10 as in like top 10 most important cities in the world, and there's a lot of economic power here. There's a lot of culture here. There's a lot of history here. But at the same time, it's almost like they couldn't do Chicago the way that they did LA and New York. They couldn't clean it up as efficiently as they did with those cities, because what they assume is that, so Chicago has like arguably the most famous housing projects in the world. The Robert Taylor homes, the Ida B. Wells, Green to Green.
Right.
I mean, like these housing projects are like if you look up pictures of them, like they're the size of small towns. Like they're huge. And the city, in like a 15-year period, decided to tear down all of them and displaced well over 100,000 people. And they thought that if they tear down these projects, because they kind of centralized the poverty, it also kind of centralized the crime. And there's literally entire gangs running projects like like I know at the Robert Taylor homes. There was the Robert Taylor homes, and there's Stateway Gardens. Stateway Gardens was kind of to the north of the Robert Taylor homes, and Robert Taylor homes. That was like a majority folk, like people. Well, yeah, it was a majority like G's in the Robert Taylor homes, but then to the north you had Stateway Gardens, and that was like people, it was like Stones, or what they call back then, Blackstone Rangers and El Rubin. And it really kept the gangs in one location. It was almost like it it was their HQ for the rest of the city because police weren't about to go into the projects to arrest somebody. Like, that's a death sentence. So it almost gave them their own little fortresses in the city. Say, yo, if we tear all these projects down, then go after all the gang leaders, then we could just like clean up all of this in like one swift stroke. And it didn't go according to plan, because all that it did was just spread the all that it did was spread the gangs all over south side and west side even more. And then once it took out the leadership, it's just kind of like you cut the head off of a snake. The body was just flailing around. It's still flailing around today. I mean, there was a DEA agent, was the ATF? I don't know. It was one of these government agencies. He was assigned to help take down Larry Hoover.
Hey, time out, Chris. Yo, who's cooking crack in the background? You hear that?
Somebody's whipping the word.
That's probably me.
She's making the biscuits.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, the GDs, you know, that's a black gang, biggest gang, and the biggest black gang in history. And the agent, he was quoted saying that the Gangster Disciples may arguably be the most dangerous gang in human history because of how trained and sophisticated and disciplined they were. I mean, their tactics were like the way they sold dope, the way they killed people, the way they moved was amazing, especially when you take into account that there were 50,000 gang members, at least GDs, in Chicago alone. So they really couldn't allow this much organization to go on in the community. And it wasn't just the GDs, it was all the Stones were, same thing with them, and the Vice Lords. And so, of course, they had to take them out. And that's what they did. And what we're seeing now, 1,000 people aren't being murdered every year these days. It was 400 to 700 people getting murdered a year. But a lot of these murders aren't even like back then when it was like 1,900 murders. Like, it was like, you know, a lot of that was hits. You know, people getting taken out for like violating the street code. But now it's just like, you know, some dude walked by Tyrone and his girlfriend, and he looked at Tyrone's girlfriend's ass, and Tyrone popped him. And that's really what a lot of the crime is. That's because there's really no guidance. There's no OGs to enforce the street code. And, you know, it's really a big mess now. And it's crazy. And then the history with Chicago and black people is like, it's really amazing, but it's really dark at the same time. Like, Chicago was started by a black man from Haiti. And one of the most, if not the most affluent black neighborhood in history. It's not Tulsa, and it's not Harlem. It was here in Chicago. It was called Bronzeville, and that neighborhood alone had almost 200,000 black people in it. It was very rich and affluent, and there were just mansions all up and down King Drive, and it was just beautiful. And then what did they do? They literally built the projects and just like eminent domain the hell out of it, and just destroyed it. And then the projects came up, and then all the black people, you know, all impoverished and everything, then they destroyed that. And actually now Bronzeville is making comebacks, being gentrified by black people. But like, you know, you look through the history between black people in Chicago as a government, and it's really conflicted. And the first black mayor of Chicago, Harold Washington, and arguably the best mayor of Chicago, he was killed. A lot of people won't admit it, but people suspect that like he was poisoned and killed because he just died in office. But like, he was like the best, like he was amazing. And like, you don't just drink a cup of coffee and die. Like, what was in the coffee? Right. Come on now. And
some arsenic.
Exactly.
What was he doing?
I mean, he was revitalizing the community. He was getting investments done. He was making like gang alliances and everything. And then he also did something that I've never seen in any other city. And he made a real Black and Brown alliance. Like, and I mean, all the Hispanics teamed up with all the black people, because I don't know how Harold did it. There was there's a community group here called Young Lords, and they're also real big in New York. And the Young Lords had like 100,000 Hispanic members in Chicago, and like the main leader met with Harold Washington, and they had a bunch of gang alliances going on, and it was all cohesively working together. And then everything fell apart. And I tell people, like, I've never seen Hispanics work with black people, like, ever. Like, the only time it's happened that I've seen was all the way back then, and that was like 30, 40 years ago. So it's crazy. And now, why I think Chicago is currently being targeted, besides the fact that, like I said, they messed it up. They couldn't get it as clean as they did with New York and LA, is global warming and climate change. The sea levels are going to rise, and the biggest cities are on the coast: Miami, New York, LA, Houston, San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle. So what happens when these sea levels rise? Money can only stop sea levels rising for so long. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be financially infeasible to prevent water from flooding to the subways in New York. So they're going to have to go inland. And why would they go to Chattanooga or I don't know, what's the city nobody wants to go to? Macon.
Okay.
So you see these cities in 50 years possibly might not even exist. But do you know what city is going to exist? Chicago. Because Chicago is on the coast of Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan, or the Great Lakes in general, have a series of levees, dams, and locks that keep the water level very, very regulated. And the day that Chicago is under the water or under the ocean is the day that the human race ceases to exist, because it's never going to happen. So I feel like this current push right now is to essentially get Chicago ready to be a receptacle for all the white people that are going to be fleeing from the coast.
Yeah, and just to chime in, Chicago is not even in the top 10 most dangerous cities. It's not even there.
Was it number
like
12?
Top 20.
I'm not even. Yeah, it might be in top 20, but it's not in top 10. Top 10 is different. It's what you expect. No,
Orlando.
Top 10
Memphis.
10 is Kansas City. 9 is Oakland. 8 is Little Rock. 7 is Baltimore. 6 is Rockford. 5 is Milwaukee. 4 is Memphis. 3 is Birmingham, Alabama. 2 is Detroit, and number 1 is St. Louis.
Oh.
Yep. Not even until whenever Trump gets on TV and talks about how, Chicago is very dangerous. I know what I'm talking about. It's very dangerous. When he talks shit like that, he's just talking out of his ass.
But what kills me with that is that people don't know how big Chicago is, at least from a geographical standpoint. There are 77 neighborhoods or community areas in Chicago. There's 77 of them, and each community area can have up to 5 neighborhoods in them. So there's literally hundreds of neighborhoods in Chicago. And I think out of the 77 community areas, there's maybe 5 that are bad. Like what? Austin, Inglewood, South Shore, Auburn Gresham, North Lawndale. Really, that's it. I mean, back of the yard. So like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say 7 out of the 77 are bad. Well, that still leaves 70 perfectly fine neighborhoods. Chicago's a beautiful city. Like I never want to move away. Like, so it's the hype behind it is like, it's dangerous. It's not really dangerous unless you go in one area, and I think that applies to every city.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Atlanta, it's hype.
Because Atlanta, they have a dangerous side of the city, and that's the east and west sides of Atlanta, especially the east side.
Oh yeah.
Pretty dangerous.
I
wouldn't recommend anybody to go there.
Exactly.
But I tell people, like, the worst neighborhood I've ever been to in my entire life is in Memphis, Tennessee, North Memphis. You do not want to go to North Memphis, especially during the daytime.
Yeah, dude. Memphis is number 2 on that list, man.
They
Number
will
2.
they will steal your rims while you're still in the car. Like, it's no joke. Like, people are
That's
hungry.
facts.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
yeah. So what's up?
So you're basically saying that the whole reason for the government wanting to go into Chicago is basically just to get all the black people out eventually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you want to use the term minority, and I don't like to use the term minority, Chicago is not a majority white city.
It's not.
The biggest ethnic group here are black people by 34%. But to combine all the minorities, 70% of Chicago is minorities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, this isn't really a white city anymore.
Right. So do you think that maybe that is because, like, what else would even be able to, like, end the violence?
End the violence?
There, like,
well,
yeah, like those areas.
Another thing with Chicago.
Like, is that?
I'll continue.
Oh, I was just saying, like you said, do you think that maybe them coming in would be, like, a good idea? Because
if they come in, it's just going to be their excuse to kill random black people for no reason.
There was gang members even being interviewed by, I believe it was Fox News a few days ago, and they said that the police and troops coming in is going to do nothing. It's not going to help. And they asked a whole bunch of gang members, and they were all explaining why, and they pretty much mirrored the same thing. It's not going to help to bring in troops and all that stuff, all the stuff Donald Trump is talking.
The problem, there's a lot of problems. I feel like the police are responsible for some of the problems, but because the police really, if 74% of the murders go unsolved, like, you're not doing your job. But a thing about Chicago is that Chicago is arguably the transit hub of the United States. And so there's a lot of highways and there's a lot of train yards here. And the train yards, there's usually a lot of all types of goods coming in. And a problem that's been really kind of a big problem for the past 5 years is that there will be trains filled with weapons in the train yards. And conveniently, somebody just knows where these trains are, and they go in and they steal a bunch of weapons. Like this, like it just happened a couple of days ago. Like, so whoever's stealing these weapons, I'm no gang member is stealing. Who's about to sit down and do some Mission Impossible born research and to see which train has the AR-15s and which train has the Glocks and which train has the Remingtons? No, like, somebody is stealing these guns and distributing them. Or not even distributing them, but just like selling them illegally.
Placing them in secluded spots in neighborhoods where people just all of a sudden find the weapons.
So, and there also has to be a shift in culture. There's a lot of the problems come from the fact that we don't have a community. People join gangs for protection, respect, and opportunities, whether it's illegal or legal. And all those are all the things that a healthy and functioning community is supposed to provide. And our community, doesn't sufficiently provide it. Another big problem is that the wrong people are having too many kids.
Right.
Like, there's a bunch of just terrible gangbangers and female gangbangers and just ratchets, and they're having kids. They're having a lot of kids, and they don't, the gangbangers, they don't know any better. And if they raise a child, and that child is really not going to know any better. And it's like you're raised up in a terrible household. Your dad's a gangbanger. Your mom is, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. Just not a good person. And you see these two people, and you see the world outside, and you see, like, these aren't good people. So why am I going to listen to them? So then when the parents feel bad, like, oh no, I've raised a little hellion, What am I gonna do? And then like, no, you got to stay out the streets. You got to stop selling dope. You got to stop rolling down on people. You got to stop slumping people. You know, you got to stop kicking doors. They're like, why am I gonna listen to you? You're like, you're not a good person. Like, you know. So it's just the culture needs to be restored, but there's definitely things the city government can do to restore it. I tell people this: there's really two solutions to Chicago. There's the easy way, and then there's the hard way. The hard way is to get together, care about each other, invest in each other's futures, uplift each other's, you know, just be a community, you know, and have some pride about ourselves in the communities we do live in, so it's not trashy and run down, and so it's hard for people to come in and gentrify, and be nice and have manners, so the wealthy people don't move out and move downtown because their home communities are terrible, you know. So keep it civil so we can make it a mixed income community, because mixed income communities don't get gentrified, because there's poor people there, of course, there's middle class people, but the anchors of the community are usually the rich people because they have the most financial sway. So we got to get that back. But that's the hard way. The easy way is to have public executions of every gangbanger. Not every gangbanger, but everybody that commits a serious felon like murder, rape, just bad stuff, and just like have like a Sunday each month and just have a long line of them and just shoot them in front of everybody, because you can't explain things to people. I realize this. You can't explain simple things to people. You have to show them what will happen if you mess up. You have to show them that fire is hot. I mean, like, and then this isn't even like my thing. I have a cousin. He's a forefront hustler, and he thinks this is the only way Chicago is going to get better. I'm a little bit more optimistic. Like, so we either got to start, you know, getting like really cracking down on each other. I'm talking about, like, if we do have these Black Panther type groups, these new era groups, then they need to be militant. They need to be extremely militant. As in, if you break the code, you will, you know, there will be repercussions. You know, you might be executed. It might just get that bad.
You know, Ski Mask Club. Okay.
So, you know, that's really it. Or what's going to end up happening, and I feel like this is probably the most feasible thing. Chicago is going to end up being gentrified to hell, and then the only Black people left are going to be the middle class, STEM educated Black people and the wealthy Black people, and they might end up forming a little community or something. But, you know, I tell people this: going off into the country and starting your little enclaves and communities and growing corn and feeding everybody is cool and all, you know, having your own little private black town. But the fact is that as each year passes, we're heading more towards a globalized economy, a globalized world politically. I mean, physically, you know, you could go to anywhere in the world right now. So Black people need to have a strong presence in global cities. And, you know, I feel like we need to try and not be pushed out of big cities as much as possible, because that's essentially going to be our gateway to the rest of the world, financially anyways. And, you know, once people see a good Black community, then maybe Africans won't be so hesitant, you know, to come over here. And then they're like, okay, there's decent Black people in Chicago. Let's go over to Chicago and just live, and we could boost their numbers. And so, you know, honestly, wars aren't fought with guns and missiles anymore. It's fought with money and bodies, you know, honestly. That's it, really.
Wow. Yeah, that was a lot. Okay, well, the final subject. Oh, you have something to say? Anyone have anything else to say?
No.
Okay, well, let's do the final subject and wrap up this podcast so you guys can, you know, do what you need to do. All right, Chris, what's the final one?
Final subject is thoughts on Vladimir Putin.
I really don't trust him.
Putin is that's a bad
What?
man.
Oh, I love Putin. I study that
Putin is a
man.
bad man.
That man's
Oh my
amazing.
goodness. I think Putin he's really a student or a graduate of politics. Like the hardcore politics. This man, I mean, when you see him in public or when he's giving a statement, he's very, I think he practices, like he knows he's a true politician in the sense that the guy knows how to run circles around other leaders and make them look stupid. Because right now, what's going on with Trump and Putin, we know for a fact that Trump was in contact with the Russians, but right now that the Trump has been caught, or Flynn has been caught, who's been, it's that was the NSA member for Trump's his cabinet. Now that he's been caught, Putin has been, denying everything, and he's been circling his wagon. So personally, I think Putin's, he's really good at what he does. Is what I'm trying to say. That's just my thoughts on him. He's really good at what he does.
I feel like black people have something to learn from Vladimir Putin. Like I said, I think he's an extremely amazing individual for the simple fact that when the Soviet Union collapsed, that was arguably like one of the heaviest, collapsing of a nation since the Roman Empire. And for him to have snaked his way to the top and brought it back, at least not, at least, because in all honesty, Russia shouldn't even exist as an entity. Like, it should have broken up into smaller pieces and just like, simmered and died. Because the amount of debt, the dissolution between the different socialist republics, just Western media demonizing it. It's like it shouldn't exist, but he's brought it back. Russia is still it's a formidable opponent, even to the United States. Its economy is kind of weak for the simple fact that it's dependent on oil, but it doesn't stop the fact that Russia has, in terms of natural resources, has $71 trillion of natural resources, at least in assets. So you're right, he's a true politician. And, he used to be part of the KGB.
Right, of course.
Right.
And it's I don't, and then even now, I don't know how much contact he's had with Trump, but I feel like what he's doing, I feel like in a sense he's trying to reform the Soviet Union, or at least a successor state to it, because the biggest obstacle to that has always been the United States. Like, in terms of straight bodies, Russia can wage a conventional war against Europe, as like all the European countries, and win. But that main trump card that the Europeans always had,
very funny,
was the United States. So, so I feel like what he's trying to do, he's trying to maneuver himself to be allies with the United States, and I don't see why we shouldn't be allies with Russia, because if you actually look through the Cold War, we were the aggressors the entire time. The Soviet Union wasn't. The Soviet Union was competing with us because they felt America was always on the verge of like they're about to jump us. So they felt like they had to keep up. And it's true. I mean, like, just look back in the news, the amount of times that the Navy intruded in Soviet waters and like did missile tests nearby. It was like they were baiting them to like say, yeah, come here, like you want to fight. But even now, like I don't think I like Russia as a country, as a culture. A lot of people don't know this, but the father of the modern Russian language is a black man. And
The father of
Yeah.
The modern Russian
Alexander
language is Black.
Pushkin.
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah. What's
Alexander Pushkin.
right? Right.
So it's really interesting. Russia's a really interesting country, and the reason why I brought up Putin was because I feel like Black people we kind of what's what I'm looking for. We kind of throttle ourselves, or we put ourselves into this box of only studying a select few African cultures, and that whenever there's something that's non-African, we automatically discount it. And I mean, I guess you could do that, but my point is that if I was to just look at the conscious or pro-Black community just at face value, it sets up a narrative that Black people are super duper melanin enhanced beings, and if you eat kale and collard greens, you're gonna fly, and just all this stuff. And they paint Europeans as these savage, idiotic, inbred animals. But at the end of the day, if we're these super intelligent, crazy, powerful beings, and if they're just the savages, how did they beat us?
Mm-hmm.
So it's either
Good
so
point. Good
either
point.
we're not as great as we think we are, or we need to learn a thing or two from other cultures. I mean, even Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh, he was the father. He's the father of modern Vietnam, and I think he wasn't. I guess he was pretty influential in the Vietnam War. But Ho Chi Minh, when he came to the United States, to New York, he would always visit Marcus Garvey. He would always go to Marcus
He
Garvey's
did.
lectures and speeches, and he'd take notes. And he took that
Mm-hmm.
knowledge back with him to Vietnam. And what did he do? I mean, he waged a war against the French, the English, I mean, the current Vietnam state and the United States, and won all of them.
Whoop their asses. Exactly.
Right.
But the reason why he was able to do that was because he was able to step out of his cultural comfort zone, and look at other people and say what he's saying makes sense. We need to apply this to us and use it
Indeed.
to further our goals. And I feel like we could really learn a lot about that. Even I can't believe I'm forgetting this man's name. Not George Washington, not George Washington Carver. What's the dude that started the Tuskegee Institute?
Oh,
Um,
his name escapes me.
Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Booker T. Washington was a student of Henry Ford. He
Yeah.
was
He
real
was.
good friends with him. He was
Mm-hmm.
real good friends with a lot of white industrialists. And what did he do? He took
Right.
the ideas and applied them to Tuskegee for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere in these past 100 years, we've just lost that idea. And
Right.
it's ridiculous, that we just pigeonhole ourselves to the Yoruba in Egypt. Like, people think we only focus on Egypt. No, we only focus on Egypt and the Yoruba because these, like with Beyonce, everybody's like, oh no, it's Oshun and this and that. Like, people always mention a lot of Yoruba gods and goddesses or Orishas, like there aren't like 1,000 other religions in Africa. So I feel like we need to open our minds and study more and be more accepting towards culture. And I've been called a coon for this, but the difference between this is that I'm not trying to assimilate into the culture. I'm trying to take different bits and pieces from the culture and apply it to mine, so I can advance past their culture.
Right.
And
Well,
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Mm. I'm glad that you brought this subject up because, yeah, when I saw it, I was like, I don't have anything to say about this because I usually don't care about, like, whenever I hear about him in the news and, a lot of, like, European, like, figures. Yeah, I usually don't care much. Um, but you have a great point. It's definitely a good idea to, you know, get out of like the like black box that we have and kind of look at what other people have done to get to where they are, and not necessarily be like them, but just see what they did to get to where they are, and it should be able to, I guess, like help help us to, I guess, in our own way, advance ourselves, not necessarily in their way, but
Right.
so
I've said that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I'm done.
Okay. I've said that like 1,000 times. And it's not that I want to look up to other people, because I look up to my own. But the thing with that is, it's like, I say all the time, look at Mexicans, look at how they build. People make fun of Mexicans all the time. Oh, they all live in one house and yada yada yada. Okay, but look at them. They stay with each other and they stack up and they go put down payments on houses. Meanwhile, Black people, I gotta have my own shit. I gotta have, and you struggling.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, most cultures, you can't even leave the house until you have
Like
enough
21.
money to. Not even just that, you don't leave the house until you can support yourself, and that's really in African cultures. Most African cultures, the children don't leave the house until they can fully support themselves.
Right.
exactly. Whereas American Black people, oh well, you
They kick you,
18, so
they kick you out immediately, and you don't have enough time to build up, your portfolio and build up your stack your money to the point where you can step out of the house and live by yourself. You can still gain some knowledge living at home or just living with whoever you call your guardian. So yeah, we definitely can learn a lot from other people, especially Vladimir Putin.
And also, we also have to get back into reading and studying military and tactics that people from different cultures use, and we can take that and apply it to ourselves. So that way we can always be one step ahead of other people.
or have our own army.
Yeah, that can help.
I've been like lately with me, I've been looking at different political and economic ideologies, and it's crazy just how little a lot of people know about the true political spectrum of things. Like, it's not just liberal and conservative. I mean, there's of course there's authoritarians, there's anarcho-capitalists, there's anarcho-communists, there's authoritarian capitalists and authoritarian communists. I mean, there's so much, and there's more in between, like centrists, and it's a lot, and a lot of us really don't know about that. We're so illiterate politically and economically, but that's a given, that we're never really equipped to deal with certain things, because we just take one idea and we run with it. We never think of all the possibilities or all the factors or all the variables. We hear A, B, and C and just forget about the rest of the alphabet, and that's a problem that
It's a huge problem.
the community.
We don't read enough.
We don't.
It's like we see intelligence as a white trait.
Yep.
And the thing about it is, not only that we don't read enough, is that people don't use logic as a stepping stone anymore. They don't come up with clever ways or tactics. It's like we don't have too many reactionaries and not enough strategists. Too many people react and not enough strategize. And that
I agree with that. If we don't get it together soon, then everybody's gonna think the Earth is flat. I'm done throwing shade for
If we don't get it together soon, then I'm just gonna give up. Cause I've been talking and so-called preaching for 3 years now, trying to get people to get this shit together. And there's so many people, and it's killing me because there's so many Facebook revolutionaries that want to have the truest truth and whoop the wham. That's nice and everything, but what are you doing outside of Facebook? Are you buying land? Are you building? What are you doing?
And also, before we even get the chance to create other revolutionary groups, we need to make sure that we have independent Black sponsors or grassroots movement to be able to support the movements.
Yes, that's what we need.
We can't just support it on our own because most people don't have the money like that, and money runs at a limit. Like when we go to places, who's gonna pay for the transportation? Who's gonna help set up the lectures? Who's gonna give us the equipment or pay for the equipment to go out and recruit people? Who's gonna do all of this?
How much money do we spend collectively? I did not mean to cut you off. How much money do Black people spend collectively every year?
We have $1 trillion in spending power, and we spend about $1 billion, not $1 billion, but like 50 million at Christmas time. So, I mean,
somewhere I read that we spend, we have the money. It's just that we want to spend billions on Jordans and Harry. This isn't just me making generalizations. This is facts.
Black women I'm with you with that. Of course.
Yeah, Black women spent. I think it was, and don't quote me on this, like 500 million a year on hair weave. And then there's European designers. And, we have the money. We're not spending it correctly. And we cannot get together. What is so hard for Black people to come together and say, okay, we need to build?
Black people.
What's so hard? Oh, you want to say something, Darius?
Black people have the money because they have poor spending habits, and we don't. We don't make investments. We don't use it to buy trades or stocks or bonds. We don't use it to create our own businesses or buy land.
Oh, and let me tell you this. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. 2% of that $1.2 trillion buying power that we have, 2% of that is circulated back into our community.
Yeah.
Where's the other 98% going? I know where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
To white folks.
White folks, Arabs, Asians, Chinese, everybody but us.
Yeah, they said on the average, most races, their dollar circulates 8 times in their community before it leaves. Ours circulates 1 to 0 times, and then it's gone. So, we definitely need to start looking at other, cultures and, other examples of successful people to see how they did it, so we can, go off of that. So with that being said, that wraps up the podcast, and we can do this again next Sunday. But until next time, I need to go be off in the cut.